Introducing the ultimate cognitive enhancement solution, BioMind. Today's video is exclusively brought to you by our sponsor, Adentia Herbals. Unlock your brain's full potential with a powerful blend of 9 meticulously selected plants and mushrooms, each backed by peer-reviewed research for their cognitive boosting benefits and safety. Adentia Herbals formula combines organic full-spectrum powders and potent standardized extracts, ensuring that you receive the optimal concentration of each ingredient's cognitive enhancing compound, carefully selecting the most desirable parts of each plant and mushroom to create a harmonious blend that supports your mental clarity and focus. But that's not all. They infuse each bottle with personal intention of improving the lives, the minds, and overall greatness of each of their customers. Because of their commitment to your well-being every step of the way, you're going to get an exclusive 25% off your order via www.adentiaherbals.com using our code TOTALDISCLOSURE at checkout. All the links will be in the description or on the screen. I was muted. All right, guys, welcome back to Total Disclosure. Literally, we just got done with the live stream. Go. We're jumping right back into it with my buddy, remote viewer, Mr. Josh Maitland. Josh, how you doing, buddy?
Thanks for having me on, dude.
Yeah, man. So we're gonna kind of like start this thing where we go live, on a weekly basis and kind of talk about remote viewing, some of the stuff that's in the news, and that's, current events. And I think that's going to be really cool. We have some cool concepts that are ready that we're going to even try to experiment with tonight, which is you trying to remote view a target that I'm even blind on it. I had my girlfriend seal it, and I don't even know what's in the envelope. So it's double blind. We'll give you like probably 20 minutes. What would you say?
I should be able to get plenty, but in that amount of time, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So we'll give you like 20 minutes to look at it. But the real reason we're here, I mean, not the real reason, but one of the main reasons we're here is because, I mean, honest to God, there was a terrible, terrible incident that happened. No matter what, listen, politics aside, like your political views aside, violence in that arena cannot be tolerated. Just plain and simple. But there are some eerie predictions that you've come across, I've come across, and I think they're even starting to permeate through TikTok and other social media sites. And it's very, very, very eerie. So, what do you have to say on the matter about this remote viewing prediction capability?
Remote viewing is great for predicting stuff. Like, there's professional remote viewers that do this kind of stuff all the time. In particular, the future forecasting group, who's, their stuff's getting a lot of attention right now because I think they've got 6 regular viewers, and I'm pretty sure all of them got this event in some form or another, anywhere as far back as March, and some of them more closer to the event, like in July. What they do is predict the news every month, and like they nail it every time. Like they get stuff every month that's accurate, but it's remote viewing data is weird because it's different for every person that runs a given target. And three people can run the same target, and all of them are going to get completely different stuff because the way it works, it's like a hyper personal kind of process. It's you're diving into your own subconscious and asking it to retrieve information for you. So it's going to be colored by everything that makes up your subconscious. I've always likened it to musicians and how every bass player has kind of their own style of riffing and playing and plucking and whatever. But remote viewers are very similar in that way. It's people see remote viewing and think, oh, it's this crazy psychic thing, but and it is like it is a psychic thing, but psychic things I think are maybe a bit less weird than people think. Like it's to me, it's just creativity that you're applying to do interesting stuff with. Like it's another use for your creative muscles. It just happens to be one that transcends space and time.
Right. And and the thing about remote viewing is, they say, like I said, or like they say, this is a ability everybody has. It's
Mhm.
whether or not you practice and use it, just like any other muscle, repetition, practice, working it out.
Yeah.
It's along those lines. But how could you be so precise in a prediction?
Well, just one quick correction. So everyone can do remote viewing, but not all psychic stuff is remote viewing. So remote viewing itself, just to have the definition remote viewing, there's a number of pretty specific things that you have to check off. So the first one is that you're blind to the target. And the second one, I think, really is just that you're doing some kind of protocol to retrieve the information. And I'm probably missing another one here, but generally speaking, if you're not using a specific remote viewing protocol, and there's lots of different ones, you've got some other kind of psi phenomenon that you're dealing with. So it's either maybe just regular clairvoyance or precognition or something like that.
Mm,
And remote viewing itself is kind of a misnomer. It's that's what the military program was called back in the day, but you're doing more than just viewing, and I think some beginners get hung up on that part, and they don't maybe get good visuals or something. I got a cousin who I've been talking to about this, and like he doesn't get visuals like just even in his own imagination, generally speaking. So he would have to focus more on the feelings and on you kind of go through in stage two of a remote viewing session using the traditional structure. You go through all your different senses and you kind of cue yourself on what do I smell at the target, what do I see at the target, what do I taste at the target, what do I hear at the target, and you kind of ask yourself each of those things, and then you take a breath and allow those senses to fill up with whatever and your subconscious is going to deliver to you about the target. Um,
so do you think
so
that
uh, the structure, I think, is what brings the precision, though. Structure and practice, and then there's other stuff that plays into it too. Like if it's all intention based. So if your intention is to view a target accurately, which is kind of like your baseline intention that you might set for a target, and you do your process and you get in a flow state and you don't get distracted by bullshit or whatever. There's all kinds of things that can distract you, even the data itself. It's entirely possible and easy even sometimes to misinterpret the data that you're getting. And the thing that's
absolutely?
kind of separates good remote viewers from great remote ability to trust that data stream and be accurate with it, because that in itself is a skill. Like if you try too hard
Yeah.
with remote viewing, you're going to screw it up. It's same with music. Like if I'm up on stage playing a show and like I see somebody getting in a fight in the back corner or something, and I get distracted by that, and I start thinking, like as soon as you start thinking, you're pooched, and you're gonna kind of flub some notes or whatever. But
Yeah, I would have to agree that um,
short answer,
you know,
practice.
what in my mind, like even when I try to meditate, it's I find it very, 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 very hard to legitimately quiet my mind, like quiet it to a point where nothing is coming through. And I don't know if it's even possible, to be honest. But when in meditation, um, well, I mean, meditation is a big part of remote viewing. So, do you think that it's almost like channeling something from the ether, and that all points in space time are connected?
I think that's a big part of how it works. And sorry, you broke up there a bit, or maybe it was on my end. I don't know. But I think at the root of the way we connect to this information is this notion that everything is interconnected, like the Force from Star Wars. Like at some root level, everything is everything else, and because of that, you know, c- call it a quantum physics thing or whatever, like entanglement. But kind of, and there's lots of ancient wisdom that kind of speaks to this too. But um, the fact that everything is connected to each other, you can kind of connect through whatever that common thread is that you have with the rest of the universe and interpret the vibrations associated with it. Because not only is everything connected, everything is just a bunch of vibrating energy, and all of that energy has information associated with it. So, you know, the energy of this tuning fork, it has information that makes it look like and be a tuning fork. The time and gravity and everything else impact this information and turn it into all the different stuff that we see in 3D reality. But yeah, so
Right.
through consciousness you can connect to other consciousness. Let's say this energy that is everything is just consciousness expressing itself, which again is, I think, kind of the spiritual gist of it. But
Right.
yeah, I think it's as simple as that. Is you just, because you are connected to everything, you can connect to everything and retrieve information, read those vibrations, and then spit them back out, with a pen, or on a video like this, or on a guitar. It's like everything's connected and everything is energy, and creative people are sensitive to that energy and know how to manipulate it, and bring it from that kind of uh, non-physical space down into physical reality, through things like remote viewing or art or music.
Right. So,
But yeah,
how,
I see it as an art form.
so tell me about the stories that the multiple, you put out a post saying that multiple people had remote viewed some sort of version of the assassination attempt. So tell me more about that.
Yeah. So the probably again the most prominent example of this is probably the future forecasting group guys. I did a podcast with them, I think back in June, but I've been watching their stuff for years. Like they're some of the best in the game. Like when I talk about rockstar intuition, like those are the kind of people I'm talking about. Like people who are professional remote viewers who do this stuff day in and day out. And the fact that that exists should be enough for all the haters to kind of like just go away. Like there are people making a living doing this stuff. It's real. It's legit. And again, I think pretty much every one of the FFG viewers got, um, I would say, contact with this target. The way they do their tasking, and I'm not exactly sure of the specifics, but I know in general, like to task a news session, you would just say something along the lines of, "Show me the top global news for the calendar month of August 2024." If I was going to do next month, or you just say for the next month, that you can mess with the time parameters. It doesn't. The thing with time is that it can be a little slippery in remote viewing.
Hmm.
Um, that being said, you can dose timelines to kind of figure out approximately where something's going to happen. So I think one of the viewers, Daz Smith, said it was going to happen like around the 10th or something like that, and somebody else might have had the 15th, but it was kind of all in the right ballpark that way. But those each of them got kind of different aspects of it, and there's some really good videos that they've all put on their various social media of of some of these different hits. It's on Reddit and
So
stuff too, in the
what
remote
is
viewing
the
subreddit.
what's the group?
Future Forecasting Group. They're so I'm highlighting them because I know them and I've watched their work for a long time, and I know that they are what they say they are. They're really good at this, and they've been doing these predictions for. They've got like a private group that they give kind of the full thing to, and they put out kind of the gist of a lot of the stuff on YouTube and stuff for free as well. I'm kind of doing a commercial for them here, it sounds like, but I just like
Right.
love watching their stuff. Like they're really good at it, and I haven't actually done a news session in a while myself, but I trained on news sessions, so it's cool to watch people work on stuff that you've kind of played with a bit.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I wish I could pull up the exact video. Because I did watch it, and there was that one where the guy, it's you sent me, yeah, he drew the through the scope. It was
yeah,
like it
yeah.
was through the scope.
That was yeah. I don't know if that was Naeem or
It was
Derek, but
yeah, it was
they
Naeem.
both got stuff about scopes and looking through. Daz had like a group of people in suits that a secret
Yeah,
organization or secret service, yeah, coming together in accord, like in a huddle, and for a meeting, all this stuff. So it's like a lot of it was, some of it was tangential for sure, right? So like some of that stuff is like you only really know what it is when you see the feedback, which a lot of remote viewing data is. There's a scale that you rate different stuff on, remote viewing data wise, that is like, yeah, the targ scale is one way of doing it. There's other ways of doing it too, but you just kind of assign like, okay, how close to the target was your description. And so on a scale of 0 to 7, if it's 7, you drew the whole thing, you got a crystal clear, perfect image of it, and you described it perfectly, you named it all. Like you got nothing. It wasn't even remotely viewed, I guess. I just saw in the comments too, for future forecasting. My buddy, also named Josh, says that their tasking is they go for the most significant news event of the month for the month of blank, and then put in whatever the month is. So, and I think they do different categories within that too. That's the other thing you can do. You can move around in sessions and get different things. I mean, so that would still be a blind tasking because you don't know what that news event is going to be. And the word significant is subjective a little bit too. So what's going to be significant to one viewer is maybe not going to be as significant to another viewer, based on whatever their intention is. I imagine those guys specifically, their intentions are more towards getting the top global news in whatever category they're viewing. But
right. So
yeah,
I'm trying to get it clearer.
they got some pretty good stuff here.
So this one really intrigued me. Um, the one that you put up, because
This is the
you know,
one I saw that was like, holy crap.
yeah, where he puts history repeats itself, fully loaded. Um, he talks about how it's during the middle of a speech, a public figure, a hitman figure, sharpshooter. Um, you can see to the left, there's a crowd of people, someone at a podium, and then look where he puts the shooter on the left hand side, right?
Yep.
And then we
Yeah.
look at a picture like this. So you could see the similarities, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then
And I think
obviously,
Daz drew he ran with a little kind of boxy thing that looked almost exactly like this aerial view in his session too. So, you know, it's interesting. I think sometimes when you view with a group, I don't do that a lot, but when I do, I find like different people in the group get different of the puzzle, which is really cool.
right. And then,
Solo viewers will get what they get, but when you have a team, things get more interesting generally. I find.
right. And then, so I just want to watch this really quick video because this is from 3 months ago. I did so much digging to try to debunk this video and I can't do it. So make of it what you will, guys. I
Trump rising up, and then I saw an attempt on his life. This bullet flew by his ear, and it came so close to his head that it busted his eardrum. And I saw he fell to his knees during this time frame, and he started worshiping the Lord. He got radically born again during this time frame. I'm talking. People say he's saved now, but he becomes really on fire for Jesus, for what I saw coming. And then I saw people interceding when I saw him winning the presidency through great. The Lord showed me it would go clear into the summer. Great persecution would come on him through the judges and through the law and all these people trying to sue him and all this stuff. But there would be a stop to it, and there things would start to break free come toward the fall. And then I saw him winning the election through the Patriots coming out and voting, and
scare quotes there.
All throughout America, all throughout.
and then this is him kneeling, and to me that looks like a man who's praying.
Looks like he's saying, "Oh my God," at least.
at
wild,
least,
man. Yeah.
At least. But
I mean, I'm
dude,
certain
that
in that
video
moment,
was
you know
3
that.
months ago.
Yeah, and if you saw Naeem's session, the data you were just showing, I think the timestamp on that was like March 17th or something too. So, yeah, yeah, it's the theory I have is that these events, big events like this in particular, like even look at 9/11. Like there's this guy from the FBI who got all these drawings sent into him that children had drawn in the weeks leading up to 9/11 of the towers being attacked and all this stuff. There was a whole study
no
I think,
fucking
done
way.
on that data. I want to say there was like thousands of those drawings. But
no way.
And you hear the stories about the people who knew that day not to get on a plane or not to go to work or whatever, right? Like
yeah,
you hear that stuff come out,
that's
and
all the time.
We all have precognition, and you might just have like a weird feeling, like, oh, I shouldn't go do this thing, and you can't place it, and if you listen to that, it might save your life. Like all psychic ability is rooted in intuition. And again, we all have intuition. It's just that we don't all train it, or we don't all listen to it, or we don't all recognize that it's even a thing, right? Like a lot of people just don't even think about it.
And they also put the random number generators around, and they said that on 9/11, there was a huge.
I think that was the Global Coherence Project. Yeah, they saw a giant spike in the RNG on 9/11. Yeah, and they see another. I bet they'll see something from July 13th too when they check the data, if they haven't already.
Yeah, and it's the 9/11 thing is weird that you brought up, because that's what I've been thinking about a lot lately. Is that experiment? With catastrophes and the people around being tapped into it in a way, because there was also the was it the Japanese earthquake or tsunami?
The Fukushima one.
Yeah, where they had a
I'm
very
sure lots of
similar.
people picked that up too.
Yeah, So I mean, it's just blows my mind. That c- what are the chances that we could affect the timeline?
So that's an interesting
Yeah.
effect, right?
So
I often wonder if sometimes when people, a lot of times if you're doing the uh, the future news stuff, you'll get, and this is from experience, like you'll scary stuff and sometimes like really crazy stuff, and maybe it's on the part of the viewers that are maybe over catastrophizing because they're in it and they're experiencing it and it's wild, but a lot of times stuff doesn't pan out, right? A lot of predictions fall flat, and it's the timeline question, man. That's the $1 million question or $1 billion question, maybe. Who
well,
knows? That's
me and
I don't think
Christina were
anybody
just
really knows about that.
me and Christina were just talking about it, and what if these UFOs are, because I this corroborate well not corroborates but coincides with a discussion I just had with Mark D'Antonio, who's the chief. He's an astronomer, but he's also the chief video and photo analyst for MUFON. And
Oh, cool.
he basically walked me through how he thinks UFOs are getting here. And it's not through linear space travel, it's through
Yep.
interdimensional travel.
I
So,
would
what
think
if,
that's seems
yeah,
like a very good theory.
right,
better
very good
better
theory.
than the old one. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what he thinks basically is that if each one of these UFOs is also, by happenstance, a time machine, like you can't have Tom, Dick, and Harry with the time machine in their garage.
Hmm.
That's chaos.
Yeah, it's a question of how space and time interact, I think, too, and what is time, right? Like we experience time through a human lens, which is, blinders on, moving forward. That's most of us. We have memories of stuff that happened in the past. Most people don't have memories of stuff that happened in the future. All there is an eternal now is a big,
Right.
meditation
The
kind of
the
statement that time is this illusory thing, and it's just how our brain strings together the different nows, and
mm,
it's you can use remote viewing to look in the past, you can use it to look in the future, you can use it to look in the present. I think all things are connected through, again, the same thing, not only now but all through time, future, past, everything. um, then you get into like these, multiverse theory, and like what happened if Trump, didn't turn his head at the last second? Did we change timelines onto the timeline where he turned his head? What's happening on that other one where he didn't? Like that's the stuff that nobody friggin' knows.
that bullet right there could have that could that could have been the money shot.
That would have been a We'd be having a very different conversation right now.
Very different
That's for sure.
conversation. So, is it weird or is it off brand to think that maybe the government who started this whole project still employs remote viewers and had this predict had knowledge
I
of
mean,
this in foresight?
my understanding is, and this is just what I've heard from around or whatever, but that it's known that the official program disbanded in, I want to say, 1995,
Mm,
and became public shortly thereafter, around 96,
officially, quote
and
unquote.
officially. But what I've heard other people say is that it's like, you can hire contractors for anything, right? And if individuals want to hire a remote viewer as a contractor, that kind of stuff I've heard is kind of still alive and well, but it's not an official government sanctioned thing necessarily. Um, you know, but I mean, why wouldn't you use it? Like if you know if you are working in a position that would benefit from knowing information that can't be obtained through, you know, traditional means, why wouldn't you use that tool if you are aware that that tool exists? Um, you know, I think it's probably still going on, but in some ways, I don't think it's like as insidious as some people think, like that it's a big conspiracy and they're trying to hide that it's still in use or anything like that. And I mean, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Maybe there is some crazy stuff going on. Who knows? But it's it's a useful tool in for intelligence gathering. Like it was used for like almost 20 years, a little maybe even over 20 years by the military. It was 70s to 90s, and one of the kind of OGs from back then, I forget who it was. I want to say Ed May or somebody said something along the lines of, you know, they had an 80 or 90% return customer rate within various agencies while the official program was going. And I mean, you're not gonna get that kind of customer retention if you suck at what you're doing, you know. Like, and
Absolutely.
I've seen some of the work that they did. It's declassified, a lot of it. Like it, and there's
Absolutely.
some really banging sessions in those archives too.
And there's like, you know, guys like Joe McMoneagle and um, David Morehouse that are just, you know, um, they're it just their reputation precedes them. But we did have
Yeah,
a question for you. Um,
yeah.
Jess asks, when Josh has a chance, she is wondering if he thinks certain people are more sensitive to energy. For example, people that have experienced NDEs or have a neurodivergent. I'm sorry, NDEs or neurodivergent individuals.
Uh, I think definitely, yeah. Um, Neurodivergence. I've seen that for sure. I got a little bit of that going myself. Not gonna lie. And NDEs for sure. NDEs can kind of serve as the awakening experience that tends to precede awakening to these types of abilities and things and perceptions. You know, it opens your perceptual doors and windows, so to speak. Um, I've never had one. I have a buddy who's had four, and he is
Four?
immensely psychic
Jesus.
now. Yeah, yeah. He had numerous heart attacks, very severe ones, and he said I shouldn't be telling his story because he's got a movie coming out about this, but he he went to the same place each time, and each time he came back, he was more, you know, in touch with energy and stuff, and he's got some he knows shit, you know, just like lots of remote viewers know shit. It that's to me that's the big kind of goal of remote viewing is, and why more people should try it out, is it can open you up in that way. It gives you this sort of functional baseline of connection to your own subconscious and therefore your own intuition. You know, like we were talking about earlier, it sort of strengthens those creative, intuitive muscles. So, again, back to the question, another group that I would say is powerfully sort of above average with their psychicness is anybody who does creativity with regularity, like professional artists, musicians, photographers, videographers, yeah, and people who work in healthcare and stuff too. If you're dealing interpersonally with people in deep ways, I think that tends to open you up a lot to this kind of stuff. Certainly on the more empathetic side of how this stuff works. Like remote viewing will train. Remote viewing is cool because it'll train kind of all your different psychic faculties just by the nature of what a remote viewing session is in its structure, because it makes you, again, if you're using structure, it makes you go through this list of, okay, check all the different senses and psychically, use your psychic versions of each sense to detect information about your target. So it, remote viewing can sort of awaken the same stuff as a near death experience. That's what it did for me. I spent months just diving headfirst into this when I first came across it, and did multiple sessions a day for 3 months, and then after that again for a year I kept almost every day at least one session, and I still do. Like now I do a lot more kind of little associative remote viewing sessions and stuff that aren't as hardcore. It's like I draw an ideogram, and just a little scribble on a page and say, okay, what does this look like? What does this feel like? What does this represent? And whatever kind of the first thing that comes to mind, I'll jot that down, and then I'll be shown two pictures, and I pick which one I think is the right picture, and which one kind of taps into what I was sensing 30 seconds ago when I did my little session. So, and that's how people do, binary choice type stuff, like, sports games and things like that.
Right,
But,
right. Well,
but yeah,
we'll get to see your process a little bit, hopefully in a couple minutes. So, I'm very interested to see how this whole thing plays out, because I want to see. I mean, I'm just curious. I mean, I've gone through remote viewing sessions with you now, so I understand a little bit more of not nearly as much. I'm obviously, like, I've been through maybe a couple of these things now. By no means at all an expert, but I've seen your process, so um, I definitely am familiar, at least with it enough,
yeah,
where it should be fun. So in a couple minutes we'll start that. But um, is there any way that the audience can try to do this themselves? So
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll plug my course first, rockstarintuition.com. It's a fully featured course on how to do remote viewing. It's kind of meant to be like a 30-day challenge, which is sort of how I started. There's something like 10 sort of normal targets, and then there's a bunch of repeatable targets, and I'm building on that list, as time goes on too. But it's there's a free trial of it where you do the first few chapters, and it takes you to your first remote viewing session. The remote viewing subreddit and Discord are both really good. I got a lot of friends there that I learned from. There's a very active community of people who do this stuff for fun. Some of the professional types are in there too, and yeah, it's there's a whole
what I
community
think
around it. Like there's thousands of people that do it.
what I
I'm
think is
actually surprised it's not more popular.
what I think is crazy, that like law enforcement will still utilize things like this. I know people
I know
who at
people who
least,
have done sessions that have saved lives. Like
yeah,
yeah, it's a real thing.
like I've had people, remote viewers, psychics, tell me that they worked for this police department, this police department, this police department.
Yep.
And I check into it, and lo and behold, they're not, they, they don't, it's not like you could, it's not something they use in court, obviously, but it's a tool that they use, and it's incredible.
Yeah.
So to even see that, it just it does lend a certain credibility to it, at least in my mind.
Yeah,
I,
and I mean you can use it for practical stuff too. Like my buddy Josh in the chat there, Kamikaze. He uh, he helped me figure out what was wrong with my bass amp a couple weeks ago.
you told
it,
me
it
that
was it was
story,
all
dude. That's
quiet and weird and
wild.
not working. Yeah, so I tasked
That's
him
the
on it.
person.
He was completely blind, and he did what's called a cowboy session, which is a remote viewing session where you don't really use the traditional structure. You just kind of freestyle it. It's like punk rock remote viewing, and he does it in his car driving, and it was he absolutely nailed it. He just like was talking into a recording device and saying what impressions came to him, and he described a system that with an input that was coming from a person, and then there was a signal coming out of something the person was holding, probably a guitar. He thought maybe because he knows me that he was just kind of assuming it was something musical, but it was. So he was right. And yeah, anyway, I'm gonna do a whole video on that too. But
Dude, that was
he's in the chat. He's like, I was just about
when
to
you
tell him about
showed
the
me.
amp.
When you showed me that, I was beside myself.
Oh, I did
So
show you
that,
that. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah,
yeah. So that's
yeah,
him. That's him who
that's
did
him.
it.
That's the guy who did it. Yeah, and I
Oh
still have.
man,
It ended up being a tube that was busted, which is, to be fair, the most traditional thing that's wrong with the tube amp. But he didn't know he was remote viewing a tube amp, and yeah, like he described exactly these little
the
gears,
mechanisms that are
like
inside
yeah,
of it.
the stuff inside. I can't get a good view
So
of
like
it
the
here,
gear
but yeah,
wheels on the inside of it that
yeah,
make
he
it.
drew it exactly, and he's like, out of these two, there's a third one that's a different color, and that's the thing that's broken, and he nailed it like exactly. It was crazy.
Yeah, and
But yeah,
thank
it's
you for thank you for the super
it's
chat
useful
too as
stuff.
well. So all right, man, let's fucking let's put you to the test. Um, I'm gonna play a little intro, because I don't know if this, I don't know, strange stories. Maybe? No, it didn't work. It didn't work. I'll have to create
That's
something
okay.
new. I'll have to create something new. So how do we do this to the audience?
So what I would suggest is maybe I can share my screen. I've
Okay.
got where the heck is it? It's behind my
And
camera.
again, I was double blind. I mean, this is double blind. I don't know what's on the inside of the envelope just as much as he does not.
Okay,
But I will mute
window.
myself.
So okay, so I don't know what this looks like or anything, but can you see sort of a blank piece of paper? Yeah, there we go. I can make that wider if you want to. I don't know if that's helpful. There we go. Zoom her in. This is my first time doing one of these live, so we'll see how she goes. Cool. Ugh, every time I move it, it gets messed up. Okay, cool. I think you're muted there, Ty.
So yeah, sorry about our layout, but we're experimenting with style and how to do this. Eventually, I'd love to do some like call-ins and have people really get engaged. So let's get this started, man.
Sweet. So usually what I do is I start with stage one, which is an ideogram. Typically, I would get a target number, which I would write down first. So I'll try to do normal structure here. I got my base too. So stage one is called the ideogram, and it's basically just a little. We breaking up here?
No, so, you're breaking up.
the, the ghosts are bugging me. That happens
So
sometimes.
I sent you the target number in private chat.
Okay. Let's see if I can see that. Okay, perfect. All right, so 202198 something 7, doesn't really matter. So my intention is that I will connect to this target, which represents whatever's in your envelope there. Presumably it's whatever's in that envelope is my target, and I'm going to perceive that target. That is my intention. That is my goal with this session. I'm just going to write my initials. It is 9:12 p.m. Eastern Time, 2024, 07:15. Okay. So stage one is my ideogram. 2021. Just going to take a little breath, deep breath here, get in the zone. All right. So 9871. All right. So that's my ideogram. So I sometimes do something I call an audiogram, which is kind of the same thing, but with a bass. And I just kind of see what comes through. It's just sort of an alternate thing. And sometimes it's interesting to see what the sound is that comes out of it once I see the target. I did this for my Tic Tac session actually too. I think it helps me to get in the zone a little bit too. So I'm just kind of waiting for something to come through here, and I'm talking too much, and that's not helping. Okay. I don't know if that came through sound-wise or not either, so.
It
So
did.
now that little riff is in my head now, so that kind of, I don't know, I think maybe it acts as a carrier wave or something weird like that. So this first little thing on my ideogram, this is called the transit line. The first kind of double swoopy thing here is usually just my hand getting into the flow, so I'm not really getting anything there. This tells me it's maybe something tall. This might be life. What do I feel about this element? Something tall, curving around. It might be something round, above. So I'm getting I'm getting kind of a visual of like maybe like a cliff or something. So anything I can name, I put over in my AOL column. So I'm getting like a cliff. So the color of that cliff that I'm seeing is kind of like a sandstone color, like a brown. I'm getting like a blue, maybe the sky. So this stage two is where you write your sensory information. So again, I'm going to try and do some structure to this. So my visuals, I'm getting brown, blue, white, black a little bit. Sort of like these lines, like horizontal lines maybe. Something like this. It reminds me of like maybe a platform of some kind. There's so the texture I'm getting here is sort of rugged. I don't know if that's a great texture word, but hard, pointed. There's like sort of a sense of space. I'll just kind of write that separately here. What does this target make me feel? Like, how do I feel at this target when I'm looking at it? No real strong feelings either way, but it's kind of almost relaxed. It does feel kind of naturey. I feel like I'm kind of out in nature somewhere. So we'll put natural. What do I smell at this target? I'm kind of jumping around structure a little bit here, but something kind of maybe acrid or maybe arid. I am kind of getting like desert vibes a little bit. Dusty. It feels kind of dusty. Is there water? Maybe some. Maybe I just need to drink some. I'm just going to probe the ideogram here and see what else I got. So this tall feature I think is kind of the main thing. And now I'm like, is this a man-made? Is it man-made or natural? Man-made or natural? I don't know. Maybe it is man-made. I'm gonna move to the tall object here now. So page 2. Move to the tall feature, we'll just say, because I don't know if it's an object yet. Okay. What's interesting about this tall feature? Now I'm getting like a cowboy hat or something. This kind of looks like one, I think, as part of that. Again, this color brown. Maybe some plant life here. Might even be like a tree or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, I think this is my plant ideogram. Again, it's natural. What kind of shapes are here? This tall object. It's like, is this? I don't know. Maybe it is man-made. I'm getting, again, this kind of almost cross-hatchy kind of pattern. Maybe like a ladder or something like that. I might be. It's entirely possible I'm just zoomed in on something really close. That happens sometimes, especially with photo targets, which I'm assuming this is. I mean, maybe it's not, but so we'll do another move command. So move to. Let's move to the target as it appears in the feedback and ideogram it. So again, this kind of tall, sharp kind of, yeah, like I'm looking up at something. Is it waves? This feels like a wave of some, maybe not. Yeah, it feels like some kind of feature that's out in the woods, out in the wilderness somewhere, or the tall feature is the kind of key thing. Yeah, I feel like I'm a ways back from it, so I don't know if I'm gonna get any kind of breakthrough craziness here, but this is about the kind of level of detail I would go for an associative remote viewing. And you know what? I should probably acknowledge this. I am a little nervous because I haven't done one of these live. Nervous, can't even spell, man. But yeah, it's important to acknowledge your emotions when you're doing remote viewing, because that can impact what you're doing. So with that done, let's do another little. What else is here? What's something I missed? And I mean, I don't actually have to write all this out. I can just say it. But it's good practice if you're trying, if you're just doing a paper session for somebody. What's something I've missed about this target? Maybe there is water here. Maybe it's a sailboat or something.
Can I make
Or
a comment?
Crocodile. This feels like a crocodile a little bit. Now I'm kind of getting, yeah, leathery texture there. Yeah, go ahead.
So I feel like we're somewhere in the desert.
That's what my sort of feeling is here too. So now I'm getting kind of reptile, leathery, crocodile skin or something like that. I mean, you're not going to find a crocodile in the desert, I don't think.
But you will on boots.
Yeah, it's true. And I did get the kind of cowboy hat thing.
Cowboy hat. Yeah.
I think it's a desert scene.
Not to
or
paint a
something.
picture, yeah, but
Yeah, there's
What's the spiral? What's the
so
that?
yeah, so there may be something round here, or sometimes I kind of my ideograms will loop around the thing that I should be paying attention to. So maybe that's what's going on here. This is my transit. So there's so this might be water. This might be, is this water? Yeah, I don't know. There might be life here that's I don't, now I feel thirsty. So maybe there's a thirsty animal or something out in the desert. I don't know. But this loop usually means life, and I feel like it's maybe highlighting that there's something alive here. And I'm just I did a bunch of ARV earlier today, so maybe I'm not. And it's the end of the day. I tend to do this better in the morning and stuff with a coffee. But
Yeah, we did
now I'm just making excuses.
no, we
But
did a good morning sesh.
yeah, like there's yeah. I'd say do we have any comments or anything from anybody here for
Yeah, I would love to know from any side.
some people talking about the Monroe Institute? I should have done one of their meditations before. That would have been good. Um, okay, so let's. How are we doing for time here too? I don't want to go too much over.
Yeah, we're fine with time, man.
Okay. Well, let's get the reveal here because I'm not feeling much breakthrough or anything here, and I'm just kind of curious because I want to make sure that we get the reveal on Instagram here in the next 2 minutes. So we'll uh, we'll call it there, and I'll request feedback. I'll do a little summary. So I'm feeling there's something, it's got a very kind of desert vibe to me. Outdoor nature. We've got perhaps some animals, perhaps some leather, cowboy stuff, you know, and a tall feature that um, is kind of central, I think, to the target. And yeah,
Jesus
colors
Christ.
brown, blue, white. Again, we're kind of prominent, so maybe a bit of green in there, but it's like a darker green maybe. So we'll call it there. We'll call it end of session. Boom. What do we got?
All right. Viewer is to move. All right, well, Mojave Air and Spaceport Airplane Graveyard.
Well, that's a
At the
desert, all right.
time, at the time of the drone film, footage captures from the feedback. There's a video that goes along
Oh,
with it as
sweet.
well.
Okay, let's see that.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking crazy.
That's cool.
Did it switch
I see it.
to
Yeah.
the? Yeah.
Oh no, it's an ad. Okay.
Look at the colors we're seeing.
There's my brown green planty things, yeah. And my desert and white and blue sky, mountains in the distance, yeah.
So it says on the queue that this is specifically what you're looking for.
Well, I drew those. You can see the tails of the planes in that last ideogram there that I called a crocodile.
Yeah,
But
and
that's
a
interesting.
man-made tower, right?
Yeah,
There's I would assume a tower. You'd have to fly these things in.
yeah,
And you would even though it is a graveyard for planes, I would assume that they would be flying in to some degree.
yeah. So, and I was getting that kind of mix of man-made and natural stuff. So, um,
Yeah.
it
So
looks like there's some sheet metal type hangar buildings there, which isn't too different than my kind of stripy line structure thing. That's cool.
yeah, and I just want to kind of cruise through the video here.
Qantas.
Wow, there's a,
Good airline. Flew on one of those to Australia once.
yeah. So, um,
Yeah, there's
if
ladders. There's a
you
ladder
see
going into that little one there.
you see the mountain ranges in the background,
Yeah, yeah. That's
um,
cool.
so Mojave, air and space. That was pretty. I mean, for a quick little session, at the end of the night, man. Um, I would say that's pretty fucking remarkable.
Cool. Yeah, that's not bad. I've had worse sessions. For sure. Cool.
Nature, animals, cowboy stuff. Um,
I bet there's some
Mojave
cowboy
Desert.
stuff that goes on out there.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's the Mojave Desert. Of course, there's cowboy stuff that's happening out there.
Yeah, so you got your mountains, you got yeah, so that was probably the airplane that this circle was alerting me to. This is any kind of pointed thing like that, and an ideogram is usually a structure. But yeah, and then yeah, these little scraggly plants. I said move to the tall feature, but it gave me these plants, so I don't know. I'm just all over the place, I guess, today.
Yeah, well, yeah, the tall feature would. I mean, there's not too many tall features around there.
AOL cliff looks kind of like the word aircraft.
Craft almost.
A, yeah, it looks like aircraft almost there. That's funny. That happens a
Just
lot. My writing will contain hints of stuff and I won't catch it. Like that happens all
oh
the time.
wow, that is actually really weird.
Yeah, it is weird. Or I'll write one word. I'll think a word, but I'll write a different word, and they both end up making sense in some way. So
Brown,
it get
blue, and white.
yeah, colors are like the thing that I almost always nail. That's why I
Painted.
start with them.
Painted.
Pointed, but also painted. So sure. Rugged, land. Yeah, pointed was what that was meant. Yeah, I felt like there was a sense of space and that it was natural. So there was a lot of space out there in the Mojave Desert.
Yeah, and it's
Acrid and
natural.
arid and dusty. Certainly
Yeah.
some of that.
Oh look.
Um,
Oh look. It's
what's that?
surrounded by a windmill farm.
Oh, no way. That's
Dude, get the
funny.
fuck out of here.
So maybe that's what I was picking up with this, all these swirly, pointy things and the tall
Huh.
feature. Maybe that was the tall feature then. Now that you're telling me that, that counts as feedback. So, yeah, wild.
Can you see him in the distance?
Oh yeah, yeah, totally. That's funny.
They might
And
not be
they're
windmills,
they're
but
kind of
there's
like
something.
trees,
Yeah,
windmill trees. That's funny.
but you can see that it
Wow, yeah, that's
stretches
fun.
for. It looks like a windmill farm, to be honest.
It still blows my mind every time I do one of these and any of it comes back accurate. Like it
Yeah, man.
it's
We'll
still
have to.
weird to me. Like
What we'll
however many years later. It's really cool
what
though. It's so fun.
what we'll have to do is we'll have to record one of these in the morning,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
fresh, and then premiere it at night and do the review at night.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Yeah, for
You
sure.
know, do the session in the morning, record it, and then play it while you and I go through it after as a reflection at night after some odd hours.
Yeah, yeah. That's
And that
cool, man.
could be interesting. But I did want to shout out your work, man, because I've been going through some of the stuff that you did for the movie for me, and
Oh yeah.
uh, things things that have been standing out, that you don't even know about. So
Cool.
just if I could recommend anyone take his class, what
Thanks,
is it,
man.
rockstarintuition.com.
That's it. Yeah. I got
So
a yeah. It's about 3 and a bit hours of video stuff. You can kind of do it at your own pace, or you can go crazy and go all the way through it in 30 days and transform your energetic system into a remote viewing powerhouse.
yeah, because
But
we got, I mean,
you know, it's a good time, better time than any to be able to use your intuition to sift through bullshit. So
Yeah,
You know.
I do. I think I do. We all gotta ask. Do you do? ha, have you ever remote viewed something that like truly scared you to the point where you were like, never again?
Um, I
Will I
did
go
have
back
some
there?
weird stuff happen a couple of times. I've had some weird stuff, but it's probably because I did not know anything about energetic protection. So you need to kind of, I've seen some people talking about the Monroe Institute in the chat. Like it's good to pick up a practice like their, resonant energy balloon, or really just like visualize this kind of protection around you. Um, that's part of why I wear the headband when I do this stuff, is because like I feel like the geometry of the paisley is, it helps me connect and calibrate, and having the mandala behind me and stuff like that. It all kind of feeds into it. But yeah, you got to have an intention that you are protected and that nothing is going to mess with you, and you got to, it helps to have a meditation practice and kind of understand chakras and energy and things like that, which we don't have time to go into today. But you if you're not good at protecting your own energy and keeping your own energy uh, solid, other stuff can kind of get in and mess with you. Um, and like I've gotten haunted by stuff before for sure. I've had one of the first in the first few days of remote viewing, I had this really freaky kind of feeling that like someone was watching me, or uh, I don't know. I see Cowboy Dave 2 in the chat there. Is that what Havana syndrome is? Is that is that when you or is that something else? Josh said sometimes.
That's Havana.
Yeah.
Is when you're targeted by like when you're targeted by a direct energy weapon is what they think, or
Oh.
some
Yeah, I
form
don't,
of it.
you get weird kind of vibes from stuff, and I've been doing like ghosts and stuff. I've woken up to like little creepy orbs with like black spidery lightning in them, just kind of zipping around. Um, most like nothing's
You
gonna
don't
hurt
ever
you.
freak the
You
fuck
get a
out?
jump scare, you know. Well, sometimes it's like whoa, I haven't had one of those in a while actually. Even when if I'm
Dude,
doing
if I woke
hauntings
up
and
to an
stuff
orb in my
nowadays,
room,
I feel like I'm separated from it now. I have like this kind of wall that I see the stuff through and I can feel through it, but it can't really mess with me. Um, geez, like half of the psychic guys podcast is in the chat right now. Live raid. That's funny.
live raid, baby.
Yeah, but
But
yeah.
no,
So I mean, you can get
I've had
haunted
a.
by stuff, but like if you know how to not get haunted, then it won't haunt you. It's part of the learning curve, and it can help to do just a meditation where you kind of visualize this energy bubble around you or whatever you want to do, and just imagine it being strong. And you can do it with intention. You can write down some stuff and say like, I go into this session, I am protected. I do this session inside a perfect model of the universe. I'm not actually going out into the universe to get the information. I'm just working in this model. And so nothing can get to me because I'm not even out there. I'm in here and I'm working in this model. And the model is exactly the same as the real universe, so everything in it is still correct. That I think Julia Mossbridge told me about that one. She's a neuroscientist and remote viewer and general rock star. She's got a really cool book on this stuff called The Premonition Code, which she co-wrote with a dream researcher. So it's kind of a good mix of creative writing and technical writing. So if you like your science to be a little bit more artsy, it's a great book for people just kind of digging into this stuff, sort of more general, not super specific on nerding out remote viewing stuff, but better for a sort of general audience who wants to get into this kind of stuff.
Well, last question is: do you think dreams are like? I often wonder if dreams are portals into, I don't know, like another reality. Like what are the reason for them, you know, and could
Yeah,
they be uh
I see the dream space as kind of like the holodeck in Star Trek or something like that. It's like it's dream space is within you. Um, this is my personal opinion. I don't know if this is actual or not, but this is kind of what feels right to me. But you've got your dream space, which is, you know, your own kind of inner projection where you know when you're asleep, the 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 subconscious kind of plays a movie for you that you get to participate in, and it's always, you know, that inner dream vision
mm,
is it's always your subconscious trying to tell you some stuff. Sometimes it's just trying to process junk that you need to process. But a lot of the time, if I remember a dream, it almost always is something that has some information for me. There's something that I
well,
should kind of take away from it. It's usually symbolic because the subconscious loves symbolism. That's kind of its main language that it speaks in is symbolism. So um, you'll that's why you write your AOLs down off to the side when you're doing a structured session. And I didn't do any stage 4 stuff in the session tonight, but stage 4 is kind of when you're deeper in the session, you kind of go and you take one element of like one of those AOLs, one of those symbols, and you like deconstruct it, you know, bit by bit, and you kind of harvest. I mean, I did that, I guess, initially when I got that cliff face kind of visual that I had out in the desert, which I guess was where we are or where we were. So you know, I deconstructed that and I was like, okay, it's a cliff and it's brown and it's sandy and it's dirty and it's dusty and whatever. So you harvest those things to get more data points, and you put it out in a big matrix, and you know, it's like what are the sensory information about it? What are the tangible things about this aspect? What are the you know, is there anything weird here? Is like, what's the energy like of this thing? You know, but yeah, it's
very fascinating.
dreams are one thing, and then there's astral projection, which is another thing where I think, you know, that's when you're moving to out to different dimensions or whatever. But the dream space, I think, is kind of like a sort of a sacred inner space where you get to have your own sort of holodeck or whatever, and your subconscious can put on projections of whatever it needs you to learn or know in any given time. And I've gotten actionable, useful information from dreams lots of times.
I have as well.
You know, I've
I
had
like
I've met people who have died in my dreams, that like friends that have passed that have come to me in dreams, and it's just been this like really nice reconnection, like, you know, hey, I'm okay, it's all good. um, and you know, you get closure from stuff like that. You know, it's dreams are interesting.
yeah, man. I couldn't agree more. I mean, I had a
And
dream where my mom, who's been passed away since 4/3/21, it was the day before Easter 2021,
oh wow,
and um I was standing next, like across from her, and in the back of her was her childhood home, and the tree out front had these beautiful um, pink blossoms that only happened during that spring time, like that Easter time. So
is it like a cherry, or oh, what's it
yeah,
called, sand cherry?
like it's like a blue. Yeah, I can't remember exactly, but it blooms these just gorgeous, like I'm colorblind, but it looked pink and white. Um, but it was so intense. It's just so much
Yeah,
color, and the dream
wow,
was so real. And then I snapped out of it,
that's
and
wild, man.
yeah,
I
well,
have a tree like that in front of my house.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was remarkable. And but the weird thing is, I haven't had a dream that I remembered since.
Oh wow.
Yes.
I don't remember a lot of my dreams, honestly. It's which is why when I do, I'm always like, okay, there's something to this, and usually there is.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But I've
yeah.
been asking, begging, like for my dreams to come back, and they just, I don't know. I don't know,
Hmm.
man.
Hmm.
So, um,
We can worry about
we
that
do,
another day.
yeah. But we do got to wrap it up for tonight. However, this was just a first run kind of test phase. I want
Yeah,
to do a lot more of this. I
yeah,
think
yeah.
it was really fun. And I can't wait to see what the future holds, especially for, disclosure, remote viewing, and all these phenomena.
Yeah, all phenomenon which will get you haunted if you're remote viewing
Yeah.
when you don't know what you're doing. Even if you do know
Yeah.
what you're doing, sometimes that's the kind
Yeah.
of stuff that'll haunt you.
That's
But
a scary
yeah,
thought.
no, man. We'll get some other rock star intuitives on here and
Yeah,
and
that's
and
the
do
goal.
some fun stuff.
Yeah, that's the goal, is to get all these guys get on here and talk to them, and just their angle of remote viewing, and get their introspect into things that are happening, and um, be a hub of of community, basically.
Yeah,
So,
man.
because remote viewing is right up there, man. It needs to be normalized and destigmatized as
I think
something.
it's an important thing for people to learn how to do nowadays, in particular, when everything that you see is just so weird and polarized and crazy. It's a meditation practice first and foremost for me these days. Like it's if I'm bugging out about whatever's going on in the world, I'll do a session and I'll be like, all right, what's coming down the pipe? And I'll do a news session even and be like, okay, so there, I feel like something's coming, next month on around here, and it feels like it's blah blah blah, and a lot of the time, just the act of doing that will almost kind of like decompress the emotional intensity, I guess, a little bit, and sort of just then when something does transpire, you're not freaking out because it's like, oh yeah, I've kind of already dealt with my emotions around this because I was there. I experienced it a month ago when I did my session, and then when
Mm,
everybody's kind of freaking out and scrambling, you're just like, yep. you know
right,
it,
right,
it
right.
sounds weird, but that's kind of been my experience of it, like back when I used to do a lot of news sessions. The last one I did was in September of 2023, and I got a lot of stuff that ended up coming coming forward on October 7th, we'll just say. And that was a gnarly session. There was some messed up
I'm
stuff in there,
sorry. Did you say
and that's why
October
I haven't done
7th?
any since then. That's right. Yeah. So all of the chaos and tragedy that happened
Oh my
around that
God.
time, and continues to happen. I got a big. I felt something in September. I was like, something big is coming, and it's messed up, and I gotta just follow the spidey sense and see what's gonna happen. And I got that. I got some other stuff. I got like a
Well,
volcano that
maybe.
happened in Italy that month or something too, which was also kind of tied in. Italy and Israel have the same number of letters and start with I and are in the Mediterranean. And some of the weapons they were using were kind of lava-like, and it's messed up, lots of messed up stuff in that session, and that's why I don't do
Well,
a lot of
maybe we
news
could do
stuff.
some of these. Well, I hate to say it, but maybe we could try some of them. Get
Yeah,
you
I
back
mean,
in there.
I'm not opposed to it. I needed a break because I was and we could
Dude,
remote
that
view
one's a
like
rough one.
happy news stories for the next month.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Um, or
This
music
should be
news.
fun. This should be fun. I get some interesting ideas that are circulating. So,
Yeah,
we'll wrap it up here. So, if
yeah,
they want to get in touch with you on your social media, how can they do that?
yeah. I'm on Instagram, Red Room Studio _CA.
Yeah, it
Red
threw
Room
me off.
Studio, Rockstar Intuition. You can just search, and that's my name on all the social media these days. Um, but yeah,
And then you get
rockstarintuition.com is the website, and all my socials are on there too. So that's probably the easiest one to remember.
All right, guys,
Thanks
and
for
you
having me
know
on,
what it
dude.
is. Yeah, well, this is the first of many. And so we did a video. I just want to let people know that you and I did a part 2 to our podcast from season 1. I tried to upload that video to YouTube, and it got immediately it basically, I used too much content from other sources that it was labeled as a content strike if I were to publish it. So I had to
Okay.
remove it. So I had to I'm going through a full re-edit and trying to piece together how I can do this, but also maintain the rights of other content and copyright holders,
Yeah.
because it is a legitimate thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah, of course.
whether I just release it raw at this time, I don't know.
You can fly up screenshots and things like that too, I think, and that's usually okay.
Yeah,
But
so maybe we can work something out.
yeah,
And
yeah.
but I am going through a re-edit, but your Tic Tac session is so remarkable. It is so on point. It is so like gut-wrenchingly spot on that it made my spine tingle.
To this day, I feel that's one of the best sessions I've ever had. It was at the time doing it, I remember just being like totally in the zone and like flowing and just I had a really fun time doing that session. It was a super fun target, and I think when you're
Yeah,
having fun, again, back to the music thing. When I'm having a lot of fun and I'm in the zone and I'm flowing, that's when I'm doing my best stuff, you know. And I was flowing a bit tonight, but yeah, like I said, I'm kind of tired, and I haven't done
yeah,
like
me
photo
too.
targets and
Me
stuff
too.
like that other than ARV. That's the other thing. If you do those ARV quick targets a lot, you kind of it can make you a little bit lazy sometimes when it comes to getting the details. Because I'm just so used to doing that little daily practice of like, get me the high level, you know, um, and that's just a practice thing. That's because I'm out of
Right.
practice
I
on
understand. I
specifics.
understand.
But
Yeah. No. But
anyway,
this has been really fun, so we'll definitely do more of it. I'm excited to get to know more remote viewers through this connection. So,
a lot of
calling
internet wizards
all,
out there, man.
yeah, calling all remote viewers. You are more than welcome to join us for any of these shows that we do. So, you know, either get to him or get to me. My DMs are always open at Disclosure Pod on Twitter, or email me. Description below has all that information. And let's get to it. You know what it is, guys? Like, share, subscribe if you're listening on any audio platform. Follow, and if you can, rate and review the show. It helps us get to a wider audience to deliver you the best content possible each and every week. Today, I did 2 live shows to make up for the atrocity that was last night, but I think I made up for it in the podcast world. So thank you so much, Josh, for coming on. Rockstarintuition.com for everyone. Go take his free course now and become a remote viewer.
That's right.